So we are in the 98-99 lockout shortened NBA season. This season's not going to start until the first week of February in 1999. So we're missing a ton of games.
Yeah,
I think they only play
32 games they missed.
So they're playing 50 in total?
50 in total, yeah. That's
totally
crazy.
Different season. And a lot of people forget about this year.
Has that ever happened in NBA at that point?
Ooh, with the lockout?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It'll be on your screen if I can find it. But
I feel like Bill Russell,
it might be
that time frame might have been something.
Yeah, I know they held out of an All-Star game to get a Players Association. I know that happened.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story. But I don't know if there's ever been a lockout because it was due to the collective bargaining agreement. They just weren't meeting eye to eye because there were so many people getting these crazy, insane contracts, and there was no restricted free agency, as we learned during Shaq's transition from Orlando to LA. So they wanted that shit bad, and so they held out, and they come back in February of '99 to play 50 games. Before that, there's two things. So this is the last season in the Forum, the famous LA Forum. Showtime Lakers made that court super famous.
Yep.
And it's a legendary place in LA. They're going to move into Staples in the next year. I
always wondered when that happened.
Yeah, right?
I figured it was sometime in the 90s, but it was like
but we didn't cover this particular season when we covered Michael Jordan. So this is the first time we're going to be looking at this year and breaking it down. Scottie Pippen was almost a Laker. This is the other thing I want to talk about because there's two guys here that were former Bulls that flirt with being with the Lakers, and one of them actually does join the Lakers. One of them is Scottie Pippen. LA Times wrote, the Lakers lost to Houston in the Scottie Pippen sweepstakes. As appealing as Pippen sounded, he was a much better fit for the Rockets. Pippen is 33 and has a ton of mileage, including more than 2 seasons worth of playoff games at 178 games. It's crazy. And 2 summers with the Olympic team.
How did they
help the... No, go ahead. No, you're good. Go.
No, I was going to say, how did they think that he's a better fit for Houston than the Lakers? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because they're building... I know they already had Barkley, and they have Olajuwon. Yeah. So they're trying to build that front court, I think is the idea. I feel like on paper, entering into the season, they have the best front court in the league through the Rockets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you put Pippen, Olajuwon, and Barkley out there.
Yeah. Especially, I guess, for sure, no, Kobe's not even close to Kobe yet. So, they don't really have an established second star with the Lakers, right?
Exactly.
So, and then
I'm
he's looking at it as a big 3 right there.
Yeah. I'm sure they're looking at it like Kobe could be the third banana at that point.
Yeah.
At that particular point. But the other guy, right? The other guy who joins them is Dennis Rodman. So Dennis Rodman, which I knew he was here at some point because there's a couple of highlights that I've seen with his crazy fucking hair in the background. Yeah. And I was like, damn, Dennis Rodman was a Laker? When the fuck was he a Laker?
Yeah.
It's for
a second.
Extremely thin period of time.
And one more thing for that Scottie Pippen. If he would have been a Laker, that would have been such a shit show. You
think?
Of course. Because he would have looked at Shaq as, because he already looked at Barkley a certain type of way, and Barkley was an MVP, everything. He would have looked at Shaq and said, you're a dominant player, but you ain't shit because you don't got championships. Because that's how he looked at Barkley.
And you're fat and lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That would definitely happen because he absolutely did that to Barkley.
Yeah, exactly. So it would have been 2 people in the Lakers shitting on Shaq's work habits. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Because Kobe was already doing that, even at that young. He was looking at Shaq as that, you know?
Yeah. So, true.
That would have been horrible.
But Dennis Rodman's the other Laker, but he doesn't get signed till about 2 weeks into the year. And the Lakers are going to go 6-6 in their first 12 games. Shaq. Shaq's going to average 28, 11 with 2 blocks, shooting 56%. But the big news is they finally ditched that fucking head coach, Del Harris. Finally ditch him. Which is something we talked about at the end of the last episode, how I was kind of looking at it like it just seemed like it was a coaching thing. And I felt like they needed a better coach.
Yeah. And like, how could
that was
we
my
have,
takeaway.
Yeah. Like we were spot on that. Like there was no way we would have known that, but we were, no, I'm just messing around.
I was like,
Russ
huh?
was like, what? It was like past.
It's only happened 20 years ago. Fucking threw me all off.
Messing around.
But no, they fired Del Harris and they hired Kurt Rambis, legendary Laker figure. I feel like he's known the most for getting clotheslined out of the sky by Kevin McHale in the finals.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the only reason I remember him. Ever.
That's the first ever time I think of him.
And banging Jeannie Buss, right? And he wasn't he with her? Didn't Magic too? Yo, Magic was a hoe, by the way. Like it was crazy. They might have done something too, because Jeannie loved Magic, and we know Magic was giving up that dick.
Facts.
Oh my god!
But cue the interview. Cue the interview when he talks about having sex with 10 women at one time, and being the fantasy master.
Sex in an elevator.
Yeah, different women have different fantasies, and you wanted to make sure they reached their fantasies. That was my thing.
But I mean, you were Magic Johnson.
That's all right. You didn't mind being a daredevil every now and then.
Sex in an office with people next door in the boardroom?
There's always a look about a woman that you can tell something about to happen.
And so what happened?
She gave me that look, and I said, oh, not here. She said, yeah, here. Don't have any panties on, so let's go. But that's the first time I ever had sex and sweating at the same time. My eyes are over here, not on the person I'm having sex with, believe me.
You're wondering what's going on in the boardroom.
Well, hoping somebody don't hit that door.
Sex with several women at the same time.
Yeah. Like I said, women have different fantasies. Some want to be with 2, 3 at a time. One time I had 6 at one time. That's just
6 women.
6 women.
Now, was that their fantasy or your fantasy?
That was both. Probably mostly mine.
I gotta tell you,
fucking Magic Johnson.
He gave their fantasies, not his.
Magic Johnson, sex legend.
So going into the season, Michael Jordan, just to set the stage, Michael Jordan is gone.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls dynasty is over.
Yeah.
We're going into this season pretty much, it's weird as shit, but it's also fresh because it's like, what the hell's going to happen? Who's going to be the contenders, right?
Yeah. So and here's the quote from the LA Times about the Lakers. If it's not too much to ask, once again, the Lakers are their own greatest obstacle in pursuit of a championship. Now that the Bulls are dismantled, name another team with more talent from 1 to 10. And I'm not denying that at all. Shaq, Eddie Jones, Glenn Rice, Kobe, Robert Horry, Rick Fox, these are all guys that are
especially
doing pretty well
with
in the league.
Youth. Yeah, like because when you look at it, a lot of these other teams are like have a lot of vets on them. Like
it's an old man's league.
The exactly.
It's an old man's league. We went over that. This late 90s, early 2000s. It's much more dominated by 30 plus year olds than it is 20 somethings.
So Chris Broussard said that the Pacers were the favorites going into the season.
Yes, he did.
Right.
I didn't even know Chris Broussard wrote for the New York Times.
Yeah,
he's been in this fucking business for a long time.
But also to be wrong for 25 years straight, like, like that was my thing. Like, damn, like, yo, are you ever right, bro? Like, it was like only when he was rooting for LeBron, and it was like, okay, like you finally got some of them right, but you got a majority of them wrong, right? Like,
so his reasoning for that is because it's a shortened, unforgiving season. Veteran teams that have been together for a while have the advantage.
Chemistry and stuff.
Basically what I was saying about Utah last year. Mm-hmm. The fact that they had a system and they had chemistry with their guys who had played for almost a decade together at this point.
Yeah.
So it's very similar if you're looking at the West Coast, it's got to be Utah in that same category with the Pacers as being the most experienced teams to get there.
For sure.
But yeah, so like I said, Lakers go 6-6. They fire their head coach finally, and so Shaq's gonna get fined $10,000 after he loses to the Sonics.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did he do here? What did he do in this game?
He was talking about the refs, right?
Yeah, he lost by 3. He only shot 9 free throws in this game, right? 27, 10, 2 assists, 4 turnovers, and a block, right?
Yeah. But if you also, like, my bad, before you continue that, like, if you look at those first couple games, he's, like, getting, you know,
under 10 free throws, almost all of them.
And
except for this crazy 22 free throw game.
Yeah, and it's like, we know Shaq is in the paint and he's getting attacked every game. Yeah, so it's like, for you to get only 5 free throws in a game, 6 free throws in a game, 7 free throws in a game. Oh, sorry, I think I'm reading. My bad. I was reading offensive rebounds. But like, to have that many little free throws for Shaq is like, he was probably getting very frustrated. So this is just
should be averaging well over 10. He should be averaging over.
Yeah, this is just a straw that broke the camel's back. I feel like with this game.
In today's game, 10 plus for Shaq. Free throws.
Again,
I would say. Yeah, for sure. But
because Embiid is averaging like 12, 13, no, 15, right? 15 attempts a game, I think Embiid is. And
yeah, so especially in the last month, since January, going into the end of the year, in this season, Joel Embiid just got
think about it, like
Wilt Chamberlain numbers.
Yeah, Embiid is like in and out of like so. Imagine Shaq just strictly in the paint, getting attacked, harassed. So he'd definitely be over 10 for sure. That's like the low end.
So Shaq freaks out, right? He goes, "I thought the referees did an awful job tonight. I felt like they cheated me. You can quote me on that. And if Dave and Stern and them want to find me, try to control people with money, they can take double and take triple, but you can't control me with no money. I've been taking this same abuse for 7 years, so fuck them. Whatever they want to find me, fuck them. I don't care. Find me, period. That's all I got to say. I'm the only guy that they say they're going to hack a Shaq. It's in all the papers. It's in all over TV, and I still don't get the calls.
Yeah.
I know what I got to do. I've got to start acting crazy to get some respect in this league. I'm going to go crazy. I've got to be a wild man." That's the quote. Man got fined $10,000 for basically telling the front office of the NBA to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, man. I'm surprised,
especially the way they write the F word.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, he said. Oh, I thought you wrote that. Like, I thought you
did write that.
Like that.
I did write that because in the notes I wrote the F word, but in the actual article it's just like ... them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
But that's what the man said.
Yeah.
Fucking. And so he's getting really upset about these calls. So,
but do you think?
And look what happens after that quote. So that came out on the 21st, right after this game. Now he's averaging well over 10 free throws for the next 10 games.
But do you also think, I feel like, so Shaq has always mentioned, like Shaq was like, or I guess LeBron was very Shaq-esque in terms of using the media to rev up his teammates. Because they're 6-6 right now, right? So do you think he's doing that also as a way to push his teammates too, to more so say these guys are trying to fuck us and kind of rally the team together to go on a little run? Because after that, the team starts winning a lot.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah,
the last 10, what is that? The last 10 games, they went 8-2?
Yep. The next 10 games after that, quote.
Yeah.
If you want to stretch it to 12, they go 10-2.
Yeah.
Including 10 straight. I think it's 10 straight wins, right?
Yeah. And he always talks about how he used to do stuff like that to try to get the team to like. So it's funny, like, because Shaq's not one of those guys I feel like that tells like old stories and just like lies all the time, besides the 28 and 15, whatever. But like a lot of the times he'll say something, but throughout his legacy breakdown, you see what he's talking about. Like, it's not like he's just saying random shit and he's just like making it sound better or whatever. Like, it's actually happens.
He averaged during this 10-game win streak. Looks like he did pretty damn good, but so 25, 11, over 10 free throws a game, shooting an incredible
3 blocks,
shooting an incredible almost 51% from the line for Shaq. It's pretty damn good. Yeah, 2.3 blocks.
Like, I can't believe he averaged almost 2 blocks a game for, what is that, 8 years, 7 years, and people don't even talk about his defense.
Did they not have an all-star game this year?
That's what I was going to ask that, because I would think
Shaq's not going to make the all-star team. And I feel like that's horseshit. But I don't know if they had an all-star game this year.
Yeah.
Because of the lockout.
Pretty sure I've never even looked at the all-star votes for this year.
That's what I'm saying. Usually I check those things out. All rookie. No, there wasn't an all-star game this year because usually it shows.
Yeah, that makes sense because how they wouldn't have much to go by, just like a couple games.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because considering the all-star game starts usually mid-February, so you're right.
And you usually know who's the all-stars like a couple weeks before.
That's got to be the only time that's happened. Even in other lockout years, we've always had an all-star game.
Yeah. Well, it's because in other lockout years, it's been earlier. Well, there's only been 2 lockouts ever.
Because I'm looking at these stats, and I saw Shaq wasn't an all-star, and I'm going, I think this is all-star worthy. He's playing really well. They're winning a lot of games. Like, I don't know.
And at this point, you got David Robinson.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, at this point, you got David Robinson, who's not like David Robinson. Like, he's not that superstar caliber guy anymore. I feel like he's starting to go towards the downslope of his career. Even though he wins the championship this year. It's not because of him.
It's because he's got a friend.
Yeah.
It's because he's got a friend.
And that was his first championship too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you got Hakeem, who's towards the later end of his career too. So it's like Shaq is starting to emerge as that main, the big fella.
Yeah. That's very true. Moving into March, Kobe and Shaq. I've been waiting for this game. I've been watching every season. I've been waiting for the game where Shaq and Penny go head to head. And I feel like it hadn't really happened to this level until now, which is interesting. It's because of injuries, because of timing, like whatever. But they're going to beat the piss out of the Magic. 115-104 is the score. But Lakers are going to beat them 41-20 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Shaq's going to have 31 and 13. Kobe's got 38. If you didn't think Kobe was motivated for that game to show that he fucking was on Penny's level at that point, I'm sure that's how he was thinking about
it. This is a classic
better
case.
Than Penny.
Yeah, a classic case of Shaq and Kobe both being petty and wanting to just show like Shaq ain't make the wrong decision of coming to LA kind of thing.
100% true.
Sure. So, and the crazy part is, and this is how I know Kobe was like on a mission. He took 5 more shots than Shaq in this game.
Yeah, he did.
And like,
he shot 62%. Like,
and he murdered Penny. Let him know, man. Stop playing with us, Penny.
Quarter?
We knocked
18 in the fourth.
Yeah,
for Shaq or for Kobe. 11 for Shaq. Crazy. They dominated them.
This is a couple years after Kobe's situation with Utah. He's starting to be a closer now and stuff like that. That's no big deal though.
Penny 22 and 13 felt healthy for this game for sure. Shot 64%. Yeah. Not bad. Nick Anderson once again sucking. 2 of 14.
How many free throws he missed?
0 free throws attempted.
That makes sense.
Per usual.
2 for 14 is crazy.
Yeah. He clearly choked under the pressure of Shaq coming back. But Shaq after the fucking game. God, I love this newspaper shit. Shaq after the game. Shaquille O'Neal didn't want or get an official ceremony Sunday to receive a crystal memento for playing for the Magic franchise within its first 10 years. Right? Yeah. So this is this season is the Magic's 10-year anniversary, right?
Yeah.
So even a franchise. Hold on, I didn't get nothing. O'Neal said Monday, although a Laker official said the package was put in O'Neal's locker, dumped apparently by O'Neal, then returned to his locker. I don't want to see it. Now, here's my favorite part. You ready for this? I couldn't believe he said this. The man is 26, right? I brought Penny here. I brought Penny there. I brought Dale Armstrong. I brought Horace Grant. And I was the one that told him to bring Chuck Daly and Dr. J, who both are part of the Magic organization now.
Yep.
You can quote me on that. I'm the general manager of that team. That's fucking savage.
That's the shit. But that's the whole thing with the media and stuff, though, because it's not as crazy at this point. Like that, you know how crazy that would have went now. Like if you would have said that.
Yes, I do.
Like that's
I know
the thing.
Exactly
like,
how crazy.
That's just that's how you can tell the difference. Like if he would have said that now, that would have been freaking headline and news for the week.
Facts.
Like
facts.
Easily.
I'm trying to think. That'd be like if LeBron left LA and went back to another team and then played LA and was like, I'm the reason Vogel's there. I'm the reason AD's there. I'm the reason you guys got a championship in 2020. I'm the general manager. That'd be crazy. If LeBron said that, that would be absolutely insane.
Yeah, like that would have been equivalent to like LeBron if he would have when he went to the Heat. If he would have said, "I'm the only reason y'all even made the finals," like and stuff like that.
Facts.
Because it's like he didn't. At least he won the Lakers a championship. Like Shaq didn't win Orlando shit. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like LeBron didn't win Cleveland anything at that point. So it would have been
just cock tease them with the winning.
Yeah,
getting just up against success and then being like, nah, fuck all that. I wrote this. It's not really a big story about this, but I felt like it was totally necessary because this is a warpath season for Shaq as we're starting to get through this. On the 28th, they play the Knicks, and Shaq shits all over Chris Dudley. That famous dunk where he gives him the ball, fucking dunks on him, and then shoves that motherfucker to the ground.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite It's one of my 3 favorite Shaq plays of all time. I love that play. And you can just tell this guy's playing fucking angry this year.
Yeah.
He's playing. That's why I was surprised to see that he didn't make the All-Star team because I was like, he's playing really hard. And he's playing really angry.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, I think he's like, because he's mentioned, and he always mentions like all the criticism he was getting from players and the media.
Right.
So like he kind of like that was obviously affecting Shaq, especially towards this point in his career.
100%.
And he was getting frustrated, and then obviously getting swept all these times too. Like so, like imagine. I don't feel like we've ever asked this question, but how do we think Shaq would have handled now? Like, do you think it would have broke him?
So it's one or the other, right? Because like you said, like Jordan, he did use the media to his advantage, but he also used the media to motivate him.
Yeah.
Like he said it repeatedly. I needed someone to say something about me for me to get mad.
Yeah.
He really needed that. So for him, I think he either goes the Kobe route or he goes the Dwight Howard route with social media. There's no in between. What I mean by that is Kobe was somebody who would absolutely use what was said on the internet to motivate him, especially towards the end of his prime.
Yeah.
And Dwight Howard literally stayed with the Magic for an extra season because people were like, "You're a pussy, Dwight. You're fucking leaving. You're a coward. You left this team high and dry. Fuck you. You ruined the team." And he was like, "Oh no, I'm cool. I'll go back to the Magic. Don't." So it's one or the other, right? Yeah. It's one or the other, I think. And I think Shaq leans more towards the motivated side. Yeah. Especially because he's even in 2020, he's the biggest fuck on the court. Like, he's huge. 7'1", 325.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably the strongest guy out there at this point. Like, I don't know. We're hitting that. We're about to get to the apex Shaq here. We're climbing the mountain on the apex.
Do you think he'd be, because you know how Embiid he trolls and shit. Do you think Shaq would have been that? Because I could totally see Shaq doing that too. like being in the league and trolling, because he like fucks with these players now and they get mad at him. So imagine like,
especially at this point in his career, I could see him being like James Harden, where he bullies the bad teams.
Yeah.
But then like when the serious matchups come, he's more like, you know, he's not trying to talk shit. He's trying to like stay focused. Hopefully he plays better than James Harden in those moments. But like, well, that kind of mentality. He's got that. He definitely, Shaq has a bully mentality. That goes without saying. He absolutely has a bully mentality.
Yeah.
But to your point, Shaq talks about winning in late March after he shits all over Chris Dudley. And he's like, as a player studying the game and studying great big men, you always saw players like Kareem and Olajuwon with pretty good players around them. They didn't get a lot of credit, but when Houston beat us, Robert Horry was hitting shots, Kenny Smith was hitting shots, Mario Elie was hitting that crazy one-arm jumper he shoots.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kareem had lots of talent. I always wanted to have good players around me. Well, I've got to look good. I got a lot of good players around me now. We should have no excuses.
Yeah, that's fire.
That's fire. I agree with you. Yeah. Like that's a great point.
But he's always been consistent with that, though. Like literally, even now, he always says it's those other guys that make a team. It's not just the stars. Like the stars are going to give you what you get, what you're going to get. Like, and even like when you really, really look at it in Shaq's finals, like he didn't do bad against Houston. You know what I mean? Like in terms of numbers, but everybody around them kind of got shut down. You know what I mean? So
true.
But it was obviously because of his leadership. That's the other part that kind of leave out there. Like the leadership matters so much. That's why those other guys perform, is because of the leader there.
I think the coolest part about that quote I just read is you can tell he's figuring it out as we go through his career. He's starting to figure out what are the most important things to be a successful NBA like player and ultimately franchise.
Yeah.
And to get to the championship. So at least he's starting to build self-awareness about it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're right about the leadership, but he is going to learn that. We know he's going to learn that.
Yeah.
So he's getting there, I guess is my point. He's only going to finish 6th in MVP voting. He's going to get one first place vote. It's really between an old fucking Karl Malone, 35 years old Karl Malone getting this MVP, right?
Is this Duncan's second year or first?
Second. Pretty sure. Okay. It's his second
That's
season.
Insane. His second
this motherfucker is a prodigy. We're going to talk about him, obviously, because they're going to see each other. Wow. But this is his second year in the league. And even his first year, he's a fucking savage. Last year, 21 and 12.
It's the same numbers.
This is a guy whose legacy. This is a man whose legacy deserves to be broken down. Because I think there's not a lot of people that know a lot about what this man does and how dominant he really was.
Yeah.
And I think just throw it out there. I just think this is a legacy that deserves.
He's easily one of the guys that, and I think it's obviously because of his whole mentality. You know, like obviously he's more of a quiet guy. He was a quiet leader, and he wasn't like, there was a reason. And he also, unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, but Kobe was polarizing. You know what I mean? Like at the time, so it kind of like Duncan's over here winning five championships in the same span. Kobe's winning the 5 championships, but Kobe was talked about more, and I felt like it was more so because he was more polarizing and just the style of play that he had. But Duncan was obviously a top 10 player all time. Like no one really talks about him; they just forget about him.
So,
and it's the Kareem thing, right? Like, because they were so similar. I feel like him and Kareem were so similar. So, and
Kareem?
Like Kareem obviously gets talked about because he's in every stat that you could think of. Right. But I feel like that's why he's getting talked about. If like most people, like when it comes to the GOAT conversation, they don't even like talk about Kareem that much, which they should.
But also, like the Spurs have like they're boring. Like they play great basketball. They're just so boring. Even their colors are boring, like gray, black, and white. Like it's just depressing sometimes watching them because you're like, where's the life?
The only time they weren't boring was that last chip that he won.
Oh yeah. But even then, you had to know. You had to know though. You had to know stuff about basketball to appreciate that team. In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and then once it got to the finals, That's when it was like you get put on the center stage and they show like this is what basketball is supposed to look like.
Facts. But I think if you're not somebody like you or me or like somebody who watches this program who's like a real fan of basketball, like I feel like if you're not that, you're probably not looking up Spurs highlights.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. But another
for sure. I'm not looking up Spurs highlights
that's what I'm saying.
Unless I have to do the show.
That's what I'm saying. So but also to your point about Duncan, we're still in an era where small markets are not viewed as much as other big teams, big franchises in major cities.
Yeah.
Like we said, Shaq was really the first guy to get the magic to a certain point.
Yeah.
And now that he had left to go to LA, it's really all the major cities are the ones that get covered outside of maybe Indiana at this point.
Yep.
But yeah, Duncan's going to finish high in MVP voting. Shaq's going to finish 6th. But here's the stuff I wanted to get into before we get into the playoffs. This is going to be my favorite part, I think. So on the what day is this? So this game right here versus the Golden State Warriors. Time, yes, 420. Blaze it, hard body.
Yeah,
everyone's getting high, and
it was smack the shit during this game. You know, Snoop Dogg was in the building.
Well, yeah, maybe,
right,
but
maybe,
but no. So, versus the Warriors, the Lakers are going to go down big in the first half, right? They're going to be down 33-49, which is massive in this era, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely massive. Poppy Mike is in attendance to see this game. Michael Jordan is in the crowd. He's sitting front row, right? Kobe in the second half puts up 23 points, 8 of 11 because Shaq fouls out of the game, right?
Yeah.
Fouls out of the game. Kobe, 23 points, and then I think in overtime he gets another 2 points. Yes. 25 points in the second half and overtime.
What did they do in the fourth quarter? Because they had a massive fourth quarter.
16 points, 3 threes.
Yo, Kobe ain't looking like their closer right now. Like, let's be all right. I know this ain't a Kobe show, but we got to talk about this because it just can't be ignored. Kobe with the Magic. He had 18 points in the fourth quarter. This is another instance. Shaq goes in, gets ejected. Why did he get ejected?
I think it was something. I'll try to find it. It'll be on your screen.
Probably
I'm not sure what he got
somebody sign on.
Yeah, some shit like that. Being Shaq, being large.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kobe comes, closes shit out. Man, I'm just saying, like this is like the beginning of what I'm sure Jerry West envisioned.
For
he's
sure.
Like, like, you see, this guy is gonna get to that point. Like, and Shaq, and you can especially see that now in this what Russell's about to read. But Shaq couldn't see that at that point.
No, absolutely not. And also, I can't prove this, but there's a part of me that feels like it bothered Shaq that this happened on this particular day. Like, versus this Warriors team.
He's petty. Like, he's super petty.
Yeah,
like,
he's super petty.
Yeah.
He's super petty. We've already seen it with Penny. And Shaq's got to feel like the man. And I'm sure in this moment, he fucking did not feel that way at all.
Yeah.
So LA Times is going to have a huge thing over this next week, right?
Yeah.
Kobe said that even though the two aren't exactly chatty with each other, which is code word for they fucking don't talk.
Yeah.
He and O'Neal understand each other on the basketball floor. I always knew he was going to be there. You know what I mean? Kobe said, you go to war, you go to war. He's a guy I'm going to go to war with me. Part of being a leader is communicating. He's got to be able to resolve any problems that deal with any issues that might come up with the ball club. He also needs a good
Kobe
relationship.
saying that?
Yeah. He also needs a good relationship and have communication with all the guys. That's what Kobe said, right?
At 20 years old, my man sounded like a straight vet. But keep on, let's go. I'm just saying, but also just because I know Kobe's story, so I just wanted to say that makes a lot of sense because I remember like just when I've like learning about Kobe at this time of his career, the hard part for him was being a 17-year-old kid. Well, now he's 20 or 19 or whatever, but like being so young and it's a grown man's league, so you got all these guys going to bars, having doing all the stuff that they're doing in the 90s. Yeah. And Kobe is pretty much like he can't relate to that. And that's been like Kobe's whole like life, really, because he had the whole Italy stuff. So like he's always been that guy that he kind of is distanced himself from people because he's just different from people, And then like being like he's like 10 years younger than a lot of these guys. You know what I mean? And I'm sure seeing Dennis Rodman do all the crazy shit he was doing this season, like he was only there for 17 games, but he's seeing all the crazy shit in basketball. He's just like, all I want to do is hoop. And he's probably like similar to like KD's style, all I want to do is hoop. But, and Dennis
Rodman is a fucking winner. I'm sorry. Dennis Rodman is a fucking winner. Everywhere he goes, he doesn't score anything, but they win all the time. Yeah. He's got winning throughout his whole career. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. No, but he's also a psycho. Like, so, but imagine like being 19 and seeing that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that.
For sure.
So, and Shaq at this point, he's a full-on superstar. He's
for sure.
He's one of the big. He's probably at this point becoming the biggest name in the league.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan's not there anymore.
I don't know if he's considered the best player in the league, but he's definitely the biggest
name
guy in the league.
Yeah. Especially like because Michael Jordan's not there anymore. I would say it's Shaq. That's a fact. Argue Barkley maybe, but I feel like it's Shaq.
I feel like it's Shaq too. I think you're right.
So like Shaq being a vet, and also Shaq was wild. So like you could see why they wouldn't interact off the court. Really, like they're completely different people.
So Kobe's quotes were from the 22nd of 1999, April 22nd, right?
Yeah.
April 25th. So 3 days later.
Yeah.
Shaq, you guys know the real problem. O'Neal recently told reporters who were asking about something else entirely. You're just scared. You're just scared to write about it. What is this, an experiment? Nobody waited for me when I came into the league. The pressure was there, and as soon as I started to play, that's my job. Why wait? I'm not going to be here that long, and I don't want to wait years for him to figure it out.
Yeah. And when you really think about it, go.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that? When he meets up with Kobe in 2014 or 2015, after Kobe retired. This is exactly what he said to him.
96 through 99 was a frustrating point. I don't know about, maybe a little bit for you, but for me, being one of the best bigs in the league and having that title of not winning one, I think it took toll on both of us. I wanted to get it. You wanted to get it. Well, I'm at a point in my life where individual honors don't mean much anymore. I'm just, more worried about what the team is capable of doing.
One thing that I understood was your necessity to have to win one. There was a lot of pressure. And I think there was a lot of frustration because you kept seeing this kid and everybody kept saying, okay, be patient with this kid, be patient with this kid. And you're saying, listen, I don't have patience. I have to win now. And this kid needs to develop now. Remember that? I think I can remember the first time we had our first fight and you looked and said, okay, this is crazy.
I did say that.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Crazy.
You did. Anyway,
this is exactly what he said.
He's been consistent, and that's one thing. That's the one thing that I appreciate with Shaq is
me too.
He's been consistent throughout his whole life. Really, if he's felt a way, he's gonna tell you he felt that way, and it's not a lie. And I appreciate that, even though that's why it's hard. With the whole Karl Malone thing, I hate Karl Malone. But that's because I'm a huge Kobe fan, and I really don't. But Shaq and Kobe, clearly that was you either Shaq on Shaq's side and Kobe's side, and it was never really like that for me. It was always I'm on Kobe's side, but I still like the big fella. But
I love this Laker team.
yeah. So and it makes sense that he didn't want to wait for Kobe's process. Penny. From Jump Street, Penny was was nice. He pretty much the next year after getting Penny, they went to the NBA Finals. So Shaq's
it only took Penny a year to really get evolved, but Penny was also significantly older.
Yeah, and then it's also and also Penny got that opportunity immediately. Kobe didn't really get that. Like he had something. Damn, what's his name?
The Utah series.
No, I'm talking about the guy in front of him.
Time in his rookie.
Yeah,
Eddie Jones.
Eddie Jones was the starter. Like so, like he wasn't getting starting play.
They traded him this year.
Yeah,
they traded Eddie Jones in the middle of this year for Glenn Rice.
Yeah.
How many starts does Kobe have this year? I'm listening.
I think this is the first year that he's really like full on starter.
50. Yeah, he starts every single game this year.
Yeah.
So and he's playing almost 40 minutes a game. And
he started kind of last year. He was starting a bunch of games too. So I think it might have been because of Shaq's injuries and stuff. So it makes sense why Shaq will be frustrated because he's in. Think about it. Shaq's in his 7th, 8th season. I think it's his 8th season now, right?
Close to that, yeah.
Probably his 7th, maybe his 7th season. So, like, they're already starting to harp on the fact that he can't win. He's not. I think he wins his chip in his 8th season.
Yeah, 7. I think you're right.
Yeah, because like Shaq, look at it. Like Kobe at this point is 19, going on 20. Shaq's like, when I was 20, I was dominating. Like that's how he's looking.
It's not
but
just
you a
that,
big
though,
mother. Yeah.
Yeah, but like we've been talking about all year, or all legacy breakdowns, every episode so far. It's how he's losing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's not going down swinging at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weak shit. And I'm sure there's pressure continuing to build on him. Kobe goes on to say in this same article, I don't really hang around him that much, so it has to be on the court and certain things. I just can't help. You know what I mean? I go out there and I just play and I'm trying to learn and do the best job that I can. Whether it's passing the ball, moving the ball, I try to do that. I'm trying. That's all I can say. What do you want me to do? I genuinely think that that's accurate. I feel like that's an accurate statement. I feel like
I'm sure he didn't say it as nicely as you did, though.
No.
You know, he had some sass in that, I'm sure.
No, yeah. But it's just so interesting to me how I feel like I'm comfortable with both sides of this argument.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's one guy who's like, I need to win fucking now before I get too old. I'm 26. By the time I'm 30, I'm going to look a little different, right? So, and then there's this other guy who's like, all I want to do is help you, bro. All I want to do is help you. I'm trying my best. Fucking, you talk about how many fucking 20-year-olds you know putting up 20 points a game.
Yeah. Well, he's not.
Fucking,
but
it's a short list.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing. Oh, damn, he is. I don't know. And this is just life advice for our younger viewers, you know. So not everybody doesn't have to be right, right and wrong. You know, empathy is a thing. You know, you could put yourself in someone's shoes and understand I completely understand Shaq's side. He's pissed. The media's on his ass. The media's not on Kobe's ass right now. So like, if anything, the media loves Kobe right now. They're looking at him.
They definitely
MJ,
don't love him.
Like you're gonna become, Who, Kobe?
They definitely don't love him, especially based on the LA Times articles I've read so far about Kobe being a ball hog and fucking shoots too much. But not in the same level as Shaq's getting criticism.
Yeah,
for sure.
But literally just a year ago in '98, they were comparing Kobe to Michael and saying that he could be the next MJ. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it does. But I'd say it's probably 50-50 with him, if not more of the media love, especially compared to Shaq. Like Shaq is getting a lot of the brunt of the issue with the media. So I understand Shaq for sure at this moment. And also when you're in it, sometimes you can't see the forest
through the trees. Facts.
Through the trees, yeah.
Facts. Speaking of getting, I got your back. Speaking of getting shit from the media.
Yeah.
I was gonna write some of the quotes down from this article. It's a Bill Plaschke article from April 28th, 99. So we're right before the playoffs now. And who else? The king of criticism, I've learned. This man criticizes people harder than any other guy, former NBA player, in my opinion. He's like the opposite of Larry Bird. It's like the exact opposite. In Wilt fucking Chamberlain.
Yeah.
He's been critical of everybody after him.
Well,
everybody.
It's because he's like the most fragile male ego, like, example you could think of. The instant somebody touches his ego, he has to go like times 1,000 at them.
It's like Shaq times 1,000. I was about to say.
Yeah. But I just feel like
1,000.
I feel like the reason both Wilt and Shaq are like that is because of how they got it. Like, Wilt probably looked at Shaq. In reality, like, Wilt probably looked at Shaq as the closest thing to him.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of the dominance and, like, just being a man amongst children. So, like, he probably looks at him like that. So he's criticizing him the same way he got criticized. And that's why I feel like, and I know you're going to go through some of these things, but I feel like the reason Wilt is criticizing Shaq, especially in this season, even though he sounds like a grumpy old man, he really is comparing Shaq, like, he's seeing Shaq's issues as the same kind of issues he had in the beginning of his career. And he realized, like, once he became more defensive minded, he started winning more. And I think that's why he was giving Shaq that criticism. He was saying that he has to, and this is probably why, because remember, I was always asking, like, why are people not looking at Shaq as a defensive player when he's averaging 2 to 3 blocks a game? Yeah. And Wilt's kind of pointing out situations in certain games where Shaq's taking off defensive assignments and stuff like that. And little things like that is probably what the media is saying as well.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think what you're saying about Wilt is definitely true, because there's a couple of things here that are like he's very critical to Eddie Jones and Eldon Campbell for Glenn Rice, most likely because Eddie Jones was a harder defender than Glenn Rice was going to be. Yeah, and Glenn Rice is there to just shoot threes.
Yeah.
Here you go. He said Kobe Bryant has been unfairly cast as a whipping boy when more of the blame should go to Shaq. That's what I'm saying. That's why when you were like, the media loves Shaq, I was like, or the media loves Kobe. I was like, I don't know yet. I don't know if that's the case. He said, you're good.
No, I was going to say, because that kind of makes sense. Like, I feel like the perfect person to and we've done it already a lot of times, but the perfect person to compare Shaq to is LeBron. Like, in terms of the way that they control the media and stuff. And that's kind of happened with LeBron too. Wherever he's went, like, whoever's second or third has always become like the who they're blaming it on. You know, like Kevin Love, Chris Bosh, stuff like that.
Yeah. And so here you go. He said the entire organization needs to change its focus from flashiness to fundamentals, from scoring to defense. Much to your point you just made about that's what happened with Wilt, and that's when he finally started to win.
Yeah. But do you think he defended Kobe? I was going to say, do you think he defended Kobe more so because of Shaq hate and just picking a side? Because he's realizing you got to pick a side right now, so he's taking Kobe's side? Or do you think he was being legit?
Oh, you never know with this fucking guy, because he, like I said, he hated on every major center after him.
Yeah.
Like, big time. Even Kareem, who he was friends with for a while.
Yeah.
Once he retired, just shit all over.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, that's true. That's true. If you look at past history, it makes sense that it's the... But he is making logical points, though, in here. So that's why I feel like it could go either way.
He would have been the best. Oh, man. I don't know why I'm just thinking this now, but he would have been the fucking man on First Take and Undisputed. Oh, my God. Wilt Chamberlain would have been fire on those programs.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Because he would have been like... he would have been like a 7'1" LeVar Ball. Just fucking talking crazy shit. Crazy shit. Being a massive character.
Yeah. And but he would have had like backing to what he was saying too. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like LeVar Ball's over here talking shit like, I could beat Michael or whatever. Like, Wilt could actually like make an argument. Like,
I could pick up Michael Jordan and snap him in two.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he goes, if Shaq has been chosen to be the team leader, has he been? This is your point. This is what you were talking about in previous Legacy Breakdowns, where you were like, has he really been a leader? He needs to do more of it, by example, Chamberlain said. He needs to get down the court and play defense instead of cherry picking by the basket for all those dunks. Savage. Too often is the other team on offense, and Shaq is not even a half court. Everybody talks about his points when we should be looking closer at his rebounds and block shots and defense. Very interesting. The Sonics passed the ball down the court for a dunk, and where was Shaq? Shaq had not even crossed the half court line. When you rest on offense, not defense. Fascinating. Coming from a guy who put up more shots and points than anybody in history. Yeah. Shaq is a championship player if he plays a certain way, but he's not playing that way right now. This is not a personal knock on Shaq. It's just something he needs to improve.
Yeah. Like, that's what, like, to me, that's real shit. Like, and maybe that's why a lot of people might have not, like, took, like, even with, I've never, like, really, like, read into, like, his knocks on Kareem and stuff like that. But, like, maybe, like, if you actually take what he's saying as what, you know, like, as what it is, instead of thinking of it, like, as him being a hater, because right there, that's legit points. Like, those are legit points that he's making. And and it's not like he's just making them and bringing up, like, blank situations. He sings specific situations in games.
This is, I think, one of the most accurate things in this whole article. Let me ask you, was that showboating, talking about Kobe missing a game-tying tip-in of a missed free throw in the final moments of an eventual win at Golden State? So we're talking about them going into overtime. So I guess he missed a tip to. Oh, referred to Brett. Tip in. No, you're right. He did make it. He did make it. You're right. Yep. But he goes, let me ask you, was that showboating? At this point, they should take the bad with the good and stop making their youngest player their fall guy. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. Fucking. This article, it really speaks to what the biggest issues are with the Lakers at this stage of the game. Yeah. And what they need to fix if they want to win. And I couldn't believe Wilt Chamberlain was this accurate. Yeah. But I'm sure
it's crazy because Phil did a lot of what he said. Like,
so that's the next thing. That's the next thing that we're getting to. So in the beginning of May, Phil Jackson says the Lakers are one of 4 teams to reach out to him about the 99-2000 season. Because they're in a transitional period with their coach. Obviously, Rambis was hired in the middle of the year. He was an assistant coach for them before that point. It's usually what happens in mid-year firings. Yeah. But I think that's super interesting, and you know, I thought that was cool.
Another reason Wilt kind of did this is because him and Jerry West have been like had a rift between them.
That's the other thing. Yeah, he comes at Jerry West in this article.
Yeah, too. and he said so. Apparently, Jerry West always thought that him and Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor had issues with each other, and Wilt says that Jerry West. He said Jerry West always, like, he took what they were saying to each other too serious. And he didn't realize it was like locker room talk or whatever. And that all that made me think was, like, that's like a white person seeing 2 hood niggas talk shit to each other and thinking, like, this is mad real. Like, what's happening right now?
That is hilarious.
You know what I mean? Like,
shit, that's like, funny.
If you really, like, just bring, like, a random
shit, that's amazing. That is amazing. Oh my god!
See them just snapping each
other.
Not
only that, this motherfucker's from Virginia. Yeah, Jerry West is from Virginia.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's funny
for sure.
Yeah, I don't think Jerry West was a racist. I really don't. Yeah. But I think that's a great point. That could
no, definitely. I would never say Jerry West is a racist.
No, me neither.
Like, he's been he legitimately cried like a baby when Kobe passed away. There's no way you could have that much love for somebody of a black guy and be racist. Like, come on. I wasn't saying that. I was just saying, like, maybe because at the time, you know, it was still new to have, like, it was just like they started. When did the integration started? Like, in the NBA. Like, I was around that time.
Bill
in the
Russell,
60s was when he.
So early mid 50s, they had the first. Late 50s, they had the first African American player drafted.
Yeah. So when you think about it, it was only 10 years into the league. Like, he wasn't hanging around black people like that. Like, it's
probably
just
not. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't saying it like that. I was just saying, like, he probably just couldn't, you know, read the room a little bit.
Also, we know Jerry West. He's not the most jovial guy.
He's like straight. Yeah, he's like straight.
He's the most, not for nothing, and you can look this up about Jerry West, one of the most depressed people I've ever met.
He sounds
despite insane success.
Yeah.
Like Russell, don't you know? He was great at everything, but what? Getting a championship.
Yeah. Fucking A.
Yeah, going 1 for 9, bro. Like that'll depress anybody.
At least he got the one.
And one more thing for Wilt Chamberlain that I just found very interesting in this conversation, like because this whole like article was very interesting to me.
Yeah,
so
me too.
He talked about like joining a group to buy the Lakers if the Buss family wanted to sell it or whatever.
Wow.
And it's funny because like his approach to basketball, because he was saying that he didn't really watch that much games and stuff. Like he only watched the Lakers every once in a while. And to me, him and MJ besides the last couple of years with MJ, but had such a similar retirement to the NBA. It was like they gave it their all and they were away from it. They didn't really want to be in it that much unless they were owning something. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like, I feel like it was very similar. And that's kind of like, even with Kobe, like when Kobe, like it was like Kobe just like legitimately like cut ties with the NBA almost. Like besides
and
training,
then he started acting. But he was right before he passed. Kobe passed. Right before Kobe passed, he was right about to get back into it. Like he started that summer camp with all the all-stars.
Yeah,
like,
it's like he needed time away or something.
Yeah, he did. He disconnected himself from the game to get back into it for sure.
Mm-hmm. And he was doing so much with the women's league and with his daughter and stuff. So that's probably what kind of brought him right back to it.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that would say repeatedly, like, what if Kobe never passed, what women's basketball could look like? Like what he was going to do for women's basketball, which I think is interesting. But we doing playoffs? Playoff time?
See. We already got we did the MVP voting. We did,
Yes.
So,
last thing. Shaq's going to be all NBA second team for center. I think he's behind.
This is the first time, right? I think out of he's been third team almost all the times.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's look that up.
Yo, you could really talk about Shaq similar to how people talk about MJ though. I never really thought of Shaq like this, and I think it's because I never really broke down his career. But Shaq was losing a lot when like the top centers were in the league, MJ was in the league, everything like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then once they started retiring and getting out, that's when he dominated, and he won 4 chips. Like a lot of people, but they don't talk about it like that, which is interesting to me. And I feel like people just automatically, even myself, put Shaq as the greatest center of all time, or argue between him and Kareem, and that's why they completely ignore my boy Hakeem.
No, Shaq made first team center last year.
Oh,
when he went on that tear after January.
Oh, they won 60 something games too.
That's true. They did really well. And then so now he's second team, but and then he's going to dominate the center position now. Going into the new millennium, like
that's crazy.
First 5 years he's going to be first team, but going into the playoffs, right? Houston at the Lakers, so we're going to get that. This is an underrated matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, you
got Shaq and Kobe versus fucking Barkley, Olajuwon, and Scottie, right?
Yeah, and know Shaq and Kobe, especially Kobe, especially Shaq, were probably really motivated to beat the shit out of this team because Scottie didn't want to come. Scottie thought everybody said there was a better fit for Scottie. So he probably was just like, oh, let's show him what he was missing.
Facts. And also it's like, oh, Scottie, you're supposed to be the best defender ever. I'm sure there's some of that in Kobe's brain.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So Olajuwon's 36 here. He's 3 years away from retirement. This is his last decent season, right? 19-9, 2.5 blocks a game. So he's on his way out. Barkley, similar. This is his last really, really great season, right? So he'll be retired. Next year is his retirement year. Man, he really stepped up in this playoff series. He's 16-12 in the regular season, and that switches to 23-14 in the playoffs.
4 games, but
Still, massive improvement statistically from Barkley and stepping up. Scottie, 18, 11, and 5. Like, not,
that's not bad.
Decent from a big three, not bad at all. You know what I mean?
It's more like 18, 12, and 6, but whatever.
You get my point.
That's pretty good. Scottie probably was, because Scottie's pretty competitive too. Like I feel like a lot of people look at him as not like he was such a bitch for so many years, but he's a very competitive guy.
He did shoot 33% from the field for the whole series.
That's so true, there is that. You got that little bulldog locking you up, dog.
So
stop playing with my man.
Yeah. Kobe's his shooting percentage is gonna dip a little, 41%, but still giving you 18, 7, and 6, 2 steals and 2 blocks a game. Not bad. Absolutely solid. Shaq, not to be outdone. Shaq, 29.5, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks.
And a steal. Almost a steal game.
Almost a steal.
That's dope.
He's playing really well. And they're going to – the most exciting part of this game, or the most exciting part of this series is in game 1. The Lakers obviously win 101-100. And Shaq's going to get a beautiful game-winning block, which I wanted to watch because I thought it was dope. Pin that shit. GG.
How'd they
He's in the chat.
Did someone score to
Kobe hit free throws.
Oh, okay.
So Kobe hit here, I'll show you. So they got a clutch steal from Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
Right? So right here, they'll get the clutch steal from Derek Fisher. Dives in there, calls timeout. What a G.
That's fine.
Fucking Derek Fisher, super underrated career.
Yeah. That was my man's. Yeah. I used to love Derek Fisher. The only thing that used to piss me off about the dummy was every time he fouled somebody and it was a legit, like, obvious foul, he would always look like, what are you talking about? And it was like, you just decked the dude. Like, bruh, it was a foul. Like, come on. So
Kobe knocks down the 2 free throws. And then you have Shaq just completely dominating. Huge block. Lakers crowd pops. Forum going crazy. Last time that's going to be the case. Right? Yeah. Like, gotta love it. Facts. And they're trying to build something here. They are genuinely trying to build something.
Yeah.
Let's see. So all right. So now they go against.
I got a lot of shit to say about this series.
Take it away. We're going against San Antonio.
No, present it. I would like. It's more so like after the result. I need to talk because there's stuff in my heart right now that I feel, and I need to let it out. But I want to. Damn, Timmy D, 29 and 11. Damn, fucking
Timmy D. So this is something that we're gonna see, and we absolutely covered this during Kobe's legacy breakdown. We absolutely covered this, and it's even more important to note now. Shaq's legacy breakdown. These 2 men spell trouble for Shaq. It's one thing when you have one guy who can stand there and lock up and try to play better defense. It's another thing when you have 2, one of which a future top 10 all-time NBA player, right?
Yeah.
Who is really his prime because he had 4 years of college. He's already 22, and he hit the ground running in the NBA. We just saw him. He's 3rd in MVP voting in his 2nd year in the fucking league.
Yeah.
And that's going to make Shaq's numbers dip considerably.
Yeah.
24 and 13, a steal and 2 blocks, but shooting at under 49%, or under 50% rather. Anytime you see Shaq shoot under 50%, that's him getting locked up, in my opinion.
For sure. Because he was like a 50, at least 56, but usually 60% shooter.
For sure.
And this is why I get so frustrated with this Kobe Shaq bullshit. Is people really like, because it's obviously what Shaq is gonna do in the finals the next couple of years that make him look like this was Shaq, everything was Shaq, whatever. But that road to there was a specific road to the playoffs that always made it hard for Shaq, especially in the West. And part of that road was these Spurs.
Yeah.
And the Spurs,
especially going forward. This is the first year we're going to see it.
Yeah. And this is something that, like, Kobe legitimately, like, torched the Spurs. Once he became once he got to that superstar status, Shaq wouldn't have been able to beat the Spurs if Kobe wasn't giving you 30. Like, that's a fact.
And he even stepped up from the last series, putting up 21 a game.
Yeah. 2
steals. It's already starting to kind of work out that way.
Yeah. Like he's, and that's my main thing is like, and I'm always going to fight for that point because I really do feel like it was 1A and B instead of just this whole 1 and then it was his sidekick because it was not a sidekick. It was like without Kobe, I feel like Shaq would have never got through the Spurs until at least David Robinson retired.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And it's just because this is a situation where they had lots of bodies to throw at Shaq, and that's okay. Look, Jaren Jackson Sr. also here.
Yeah,
fun fact.
So this is the 5th time out of the last 6 years that Shaq has ended his season swept.
This is the worst start to a career in terms of playoff success I think I've ever seen. And he even made a finals during this period of time, and I still think that. I still think this is the worst. Like, this doesn't even come close to what Jordan had done in terms of with playoff stuff.
He
absolutely.
Got swept
the guy at least was putting up
in the first round.
At least Jordan was putting up a zillion points, and Shaq was getting beaten down in all these series. Shaq was getting demoralized, and by the time that fourth game would come around, he was defeated each and every time. Like it was no contest.
The only thing with Shaq though is, and I hope it doesn't sound like I'm a Jordan hater. It's just more so Jordan legitimately couldn't pass the first round for his first 3 to 4 seasons until he got Scottie. Like Shaq, at least
significantly less talent though. Significantly less talented teams. Way less. Like so much less, in my opinion.
Yeah,
we just got done at the beginning of this season in particular saying how much talent is there 1 to 10 of anybody else in the league? Not really. Like Shaq saying, I finally have good players. I can actually win. There are no excuses now.
Yeah, but Shaq is losing in the conference finals. Like that's my whole thing is like, I don't know if you're still losing in the conference finals, it sucks, but it's not as bad as I don't know. I feel like people get judged too much about losing and not about when they lost, how they lost, stuff like that. Like, sure, you're getting swept, but you're getting swept in you got to the conference finals. This is there's only one more step after this to the final, to win a championship. Yeah. And if Jordan's getting swept,
2 more steps. They're in the semifinals. They're in the semifinals right now.
Oh yeah, sorry. You're right. But if Jordan's over here getting swept in the first round, you're not even thought of. That's the only thing with that.
I just think Shaq's teams so far have been so much better than the Jordan teams without Scottie and Phil. I genuinely believe that. We saw those teams. They were not nearly as good as some of the teams. Yeah. Jordan never had a sidekick. Shaq's had one his whole career. Yeah. And he's had 3-point shooting around him his whole career. He's had well-structured, well-oiled machines his entire career. Jordan got to Chicago. They were essentially the Clippers when he got there. Yeah. I know the Magic wasn't shit before that, but my point is, this is really rough because this guy has been given so much in terms of help and media.
It definitely looks really bad for sure.
It looks bad.
I never really looked at Shaq before Shaq winning his championships. I never really looked into it too deeply.
Me neither.
And then after doing this, it definitely changes my view of Shaq. Shaq's
for sure. This is why he's not considered a GOAT. Yeah. These first years that we've gone through, this is why he's not involved in the GOAT conversation. If he had made more, let's say some of these aren't sweeps. Let's say some of these are 6-game losses. maybe we look at Shaq in a different light now. Maybe. Yeah. I'm not saying we do for sure, but like the sweeps put Shaq completely. That's what makes him a borderline top 10 guy as opposed to a top 5 guy, I think.
Yeah.
Because he's got everything. He's this era's Wilt Chamberlain in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I'm surprised in how, like, because when you watch some of these highlights too, and some of the highlights will obviously be on your screen, they just look like shit. They look bad. They sound bad after each game. Like, and listen to this. So, LA Times is talking about them losing, and they're basically like, let me see if I can find the quote. The Lakers flop. The outcome was easy to predict. You knew the result before the blunders happened. You knew the boos would thunder down. The shots would bounce awry. And the Lakers' annual march to a May vacation would be complete. That is an indictment.
That's crazy.
That is a fucking indictment. Like, they are the team, and we have teams like this in today. James Harden is a great example of this. Not just as from a player standpoint.
Rockets
Yeah, well, they look great in the regular season. They're dominant. This guy's great, putting up all kinds of sweet numbers. But what happens in the playoffs? Fucking see you next year.
Yeah.
Like, really, really interesting. And Kareem is going to come out during, I want to say either this offseason or the next year, and come out with the article that motivates Shaq more than anything. I would have thought this Wilt fucking article would have motivated him.
Well, he probably was just looking at Wilt as like a hater. Like, because Kareem, in reality, Kareem's never been like that. Like, he doesn't really talk that much and stuff. So like, when you hear Kareem, like, Shaq has probably seen, and he's been in the NBA for long enough to know, like, Wilt Chamberlain talks a lot of shit about people. Like, he shitted on Jordan, he shitted on Kareem, so he's looking at it like this dude's just being a hater. Yeah. Or he might have just never heard it, but I doubt that. And then
I doubt it too.
And then with Kareem, it's more so like, oh, this dude never speaks, and he's literally like, the first words he says is like, this dude isn't doing good enough or whatever.
This dude's great. This dude's great, but he hasn't won anything.
Yeah.
And at this point, that is a very accurate statement. And it's a statement where you look at Shaq and you're like, dude, you're a huge waste of talent. Yeah. You're a huge waste of talent. Like, and this is why the Bill Simmons quotes comes in, where he's not trying to get a 4-0. He's coasting with a 3-5. Yeah. Like, and this is going to lead to Phil Jackson coming in.
3-5 ain't that bad though. Like, I don't know. I feel like 3-5, and you add a little bit more with it. Like,
so maybe
a really good college career, you know.
Maybe 3-0 when we're considering all the sweeps. Maybe 3-0.
3-0, yeah. That I can see. We complaining.
Hard body.
We complaining about that, yeah.
But Shaq, perennial loser at this point, but not for long. As we're about to hit his supreme, undeniable, apex greatest year.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you like what you heard, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Just type in Apex Greatness on YouTube to see everything we put out this year. From legacy breakdowns to current NBA and NFL content. We have over 150 videos to binge if you're that type of person, or just to listen to in your spare time. We have about 2 to 5 hours of new content every week. Check us out. Later.